Hello and welcome to Vibe It Up, Multiple Streams of Consciousness with Dr. Alexis Johnson, and we have some special guests today. This TV show is all about bringing awareness to other modalities of healing. And my guest today is Vesna Matic, and she's talking about shamanic journeys and opening the third eye with plant medicine. And if I can find where I put this, because now I've lost it. Here we go. Vesna Matic has a master's degree in clinical psychology and an LMLP, which is a licensed master's level psychology, and a certified integral health practitioner, which encompasses both Eastern and Western psychologies and philosophies. The combined education and disciplines have opened the doors to Vesna becoming a transformational counselor, a pranic healer, a shaman, a spiritual director, a reverend, and a certified constellations facilitator. Vesna has developed several pathways for personal therapy that integrate the science of mental health and the dimension of the human spirit to address the full spectrum of the human experience. Vesna has several approaches for therapeutic counseling. She provides one-on-one sessions in an office or home setting for comfort and security. In an adventurous exploration of multi-level healing, Vesna has taken her diverse spiritual experiences to offer clients international tours to ancient and sacred sites for participation in cultural traditions. As a journey guide under Visions for Life, through ceremonies with shamans of the Amazon rainforest and Incan traditions, the spiritual masters of Nepal and Bhutan, and the foundational mysticism of ancient Europe. These journeys have sparked deep emotional healing and inspired new and expansive motivation to live life with great purpose and joy for participants who seek the full connection of body, mind, and spirits. Please welcome Vesna Matic. And Vesna, okay, go ahead and say something. I just wanted to.
No, I want to say thank you. Welcome. I appreciate being here on your show and talking about one of my passions. Yes, thank you.
Well, Vesna, I'm going to give you the mic and the floor here. You have brought a guest with you that has gone on some shamanic journeys with you, and I'd like you to interview your guest, Jeannie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So Jeannie was gracious enough to come on the air and also talk about her experiences with plant medicine and specifically ayahuasca. And so Jeannie, I would love for you to talk about those experiences and another reason why also I had asked Jeannie if she would like to speak, to the audience, is because one of her experiences was here in the United States, and another one was with me in Peru. And I feel that this way, people can really see kind of the difference that atmosphere makes. So, Jeannie, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what also led you to decide about taking this plant medicine.
So my name is Jeannie. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a spiritual healer, but I had gone through a couple of series of traumas, and my daughter, who's actually 24 and lives in LA, kept encouraging me to do the plant medicine. And really, I think just spirit and guided me. There was an opportunity where it came up. I happened to be fasting. It was just after the first of the year, and I was on a fasting diet for about 3 weeks, and an opportunity arose probably about 4 days before. And I'd heard a lot about it. I probably would not have gone had I thought too long and hard about it, because I was a little bit scared. And you have to understand, I've never done any kind of alternative medicine. I've never done any kind of drugs, anything other than drinking alcohol every now and then. So it was a pretty big jump for me to go straight into the plant medicine.
Okay. And so you said that you were on a diet for 3 weeks. Okay. And then, I believe you said that the first time was in the United States, correct?
Yes. The first time I did it here was in the United States. It was a completely different experience than it was in Peru. I think it was because it was different, and both of them were ayahuasca. But I believe that the one I went to, they in Houston, they administered it 3 times in one evening. It was an all evening affair. It was outside, and there was a kind of a fire, and then you could go inside where the altar was, or you could go outside by the fire. Both the altar and the fire were spiritual, depending on what you needed. And both of them consistently sang, and they had smoke going throughout the entire event. The difference between the one in Peru, it was a little more kind of intense and fast acting. It was not all night, and it was in a temple. It was not outside.
Okay. Okay. So the first time that you took the plant medicine, okay, you said that the person, the healer that was leading the ceremony, he did it 3 times in one evening, correct?
Yeah, so he's a Venezuelan shaman, and they were doing what they call Colombian ayahuasca.
Okay. All right. And so what was your experience the first time that you took it?
I mean, it was a very beautiful. I was dealing with, like I said, a lot of trauma, and I kind of have repeated traumas where I keep getting myself in these situations, and I'm so sorry. And so with that, I did see some stuff that I didn't know. It explained a lot of things that had happened to me as a small child. It's not fun, I would say. People who go do this thinking, oh, it's fun, it's going to be like mushrooms, I'm going to sit outside. It's not fun. It really is a medicine. And they explained just the different things, and what they meant. And we set the intention with the shaman, and and you see all kinds of things. The first experience, I was the only English speaking person there. Truly was their medicine. There was a pregnant woman there doing it. There was a child and a mother, but the child was maybe 14. He'd been doing it with his mom since he was 5. I mean, for this community, this was their medicine. This was what they did. So I felt very honored that they let me into it, especially even though we were in Texas, I was clearly one of the only Americans, and I was definitely the only English speaking person there. And so I felt very honored. And it's hard though, and I think it's very important you do it with a therapist. You don't think of it as just something fun, because I saw some really dark things as a child that I had totally blocked out. I'm sure due to disassociation. So I think it's important when you go into it, you understand, and and I was lucky. The guy that said to me, because if you see something, don't connect to it. You can't. If you see, you'll see other things, but if you see an actual memory of your past that maybe you had blocked out for some reason, not to connect to it, and kind of look at it like you're watching a movie. It doesn't really affect you anymore. It's in the past, but you may learn things the past that you had blocked out, and opening up, like you said, your third eye and your subconscious.
Okay. Okay. So the first time you took it, about how long ago was that?
That was in January of 2021.
Okay. Okay. And so when you went on this trip with me to Peru in December, so it was like almost a year or
Yeah.
thereabouts. Okay. So after this year, what kind of prompted you, what piqued your interest to take the plant medicine again?
So, I mean, when I originally planned my trip with you, I didn't actually realize y'all were offering the plant medicine. What was interesting, again, I say spirit and guided me here. Um, I didn't stay the whole week. I was supposed to do it a couple of days in Houston, and it was really overwhelming for me. And so I asked the shaman. At that moment, I was like, I was done. I was like, I'd done all I could do. I'd seen everything. I just thought I was done. But when I offered the plant medicine, I knew I wasn't done. I needed to go and end it in a peaceful way. And I didn't really end it peaceful last time because just so much was revealed. And it was really hard at first too, but I ended, I ended the night in Peru by writing letters of forgiveness to people. And then the next day I burnt them in the fire with a different shaman.
Okay. Okay. So do you feel like after this, the second time in Peru, when you took the plant medicine, um, were more things revealed? Do you feel like that was enough for you?
For me, I think it was enough. I mean, I have a lot of friends who've suffered with addiction and other kind of mental health disorders, and they, or they use it for longer periods of time. Um, it's hard on me. I mean, it's hard on my body. I'm not take the medicine and are not, extremely affected. I threw up. I had horrible boo. I saw things. And ironically, and I think it's really important when you take the medicine, that shaman being there and playing the music, that's almost a medicine of its own. Like, the music with the ayahuasca kind of brings your body to where it needs to be. I believe at this time I'm through. I'm still doing a lot of spiritual healing, and I'm still doing a lot of traditional healing too. Um, but you never know. It's not something you do for fun. It's
Right.
because there's nothing that traditional medicine can't get to.
So even though, yes, so often, and many people, when they do take the plant medicine, the ayahuasca, there is some form of purging that's involved, and the taste is very distinctive, I guess I'll put it that way. But overall, would you say that you're glad that you did go through this journey?
Yeah, it explained a lot. I mean, it was something I needed to do, and I needed to finish it. Because I've, like I said, it really explained a lot of the reasons I keep getting into abusive situations. And I've had a lot of traditional therapists say, I had to be abused as a child. And I was like, no, I had a great family. Like, I had no recollection of it. And it wasn't from my immediate family, but it was some outside family that was around, or kind of friends of that family. And it was from when I was little, like 4 or 5, but it was a very distinct memory in a couple of them. And it came once I opened that door, the memories continued to come back. And so again, it definitely, because I've been to a lot of traditional therapists, and they kept continuing to tell me you had to have some abuse as a small child. And I was like, no, I just couldn't even fathom that I had it. And so that really did help me. And I really needed the time with you guys in Peru, because I really needed to kind of put it to bed in a peaceful, loving way. So that was nice.
Yeah. Well, I really want to thank you so much again for taking the time and, telling us seriously your story, because it is very personal. And I think with, people like you who are willing to share that people really, truly understand what it's about. So,
It's
yeah.
very, I mean, and like I said, a lot of times traditional medicine doesn't get to the heart of everything. And even just our straight spiritual healing, I mean, sometimes we need more. And that really did help where I needed to be.
Thank you very much, Jeannie, for being with us. We have to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with Vesna Matic. But I want you to grab your phones and turn your camera on and scan the QR code for a gift. We'll be right back with Multiple Streams of Consciousness. Vibe it up. we're back with Vibe It Up Multiple Streams of Consciousness. And our guest today is Vesna Matic, who is an absolute expert in shamanic journeys. And we were just talking to your guest, Jeannie, and I wish I could have asked her a couple of questions, but you were doing such a great job of interviewing her. I didn't want to interrupt you. So let me just ask you really quickly, when people go on these plant journeys, are they experiencing what they're experiencing as if they're living it or they're viewing it?
Well, I would say it's more like they are living it because they are seeing these things. Okay, the plant medicine is kind of unraveling things that this person, this individual needs to see. And then it is up to the person, as Jeannie was saying, whether you get really immersed in this image, this story, or you kind of sit back and understand that this is being shown for a reason. If it's something in the past, it happened, so I don't need to relive it again.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that explains a lot. So, in your experience, you've done a lot, taken people on a lot of these shamanic journeys, and I imagine a lot of them have done various different types of ayahuasca and other plant medicines. Have people had bad experiences with plant medicine? Because I'm sure everybody'd like to know that.
Yes, people have had bad experiences, and so the way I will distinguish the experiences is, see, when people say bad experiences, it can be things that are brought to them from the plant medicine, which they need to see. And the images, the experience that they are having at that moment, is not going to be very pleasant. Okay, but it's something that they need to go through. Okay. And people will turn around and say, oh, that was a bad experience. But in the end, if they work with the plant medicine, it has a way of re-emerging into something very positive. Okay. The other thing is this. I know on one of my journeys into the Amazon rainforest, there were two women that came along. We did not know them. They had heard of this healer, and the only way that people learned about him was through word of mouth. Okay. So these two women heard about him, and they also met us at the dock. They traveled with us down the Amazon River in the boat. And we then went to the place where the shaman held the ceremonies. Well, they were very disrespectful. They did not follow the diet that was told to them. Okay. Plus, number one, they were not eating the proper foods. Number two, they brought alcohol with them and they were drinking. Okay. Which is another big no-no. And just personality-wise, very rude, very disrespectful to the shaman, to his family. They did not treat the medicine with respect either. And so
they had bad experiences.
Yes, one of them, she was vomiting uncontrollably, and
drinking and eating all the wrong foods. I can understand that. The drug actually detoxifies you, and that's why you should eat a different type of diet before you take the medicine, because it actually helps to remove toxins from your system. And especially the North American diet, we eat so many toxins that it is very advisable to do what you're told.
Right. And the diet, so when I say diet, for what I'm talking about, for example, is rice, vegetables, okay, fruit. As far as meat is concerned, and here, even amongst the healers, they have some variations. Some will say that you can eat chicken, but just a small amount. Okay, no beef, no pork. So chicken is allowed, and also fish. Okay, so here again, kind of eat a little bit, and so things like eggs and that's of course lots of water. Okay. Caffeine also, you're supposed to not
Limit.
drink, so no coffee or anything,
Yeah.
and also no sex. Okay, because the plant medicine really wants you to be prepared for this very sacred ceremony. So
Very interesting.
that's kind of in general what the diet consists of.
So I was going to ask you if using this plant medicine was addictive, but if you can't have sex before you take the medicine, I can't imagine people giving sex up all the time to be addicted to it. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I was going to say.
So is the plant medicine addictive?
No. See what, and I do work with adults. Well, I've also worked with adolescents who had substance abuse issues, okay, addictions. And how I describe it is that all drugs are both psychologically dependent and physiologically dependent. It's just that some drugs are more one than the other. So, for example, THC, if a person has been using THC for a while.
THC is what's in cannabis, right? Just so the audience understands.
Yeah, in cannabis, yes, marijuana. Yeah. So when a person stops using THC, they will still have withdrawals, like their emotions, maybe get more irritated quickly, maybe just a little bit of like shaking, but usually it's more emotional. So, so as far as the physiological dependence, it's not that great. But mostly I would say it's psychological, because people have this idea, I need to smoke, the THC, otherwise, I'm anxious or whatever. Okay. So they need it to calm down. So it's more psychologically. Others, like alcohol, for example, if a person has been drinking heavily for a long time, large amounts, the DTs actually can kill someone. Yeah. So alcohol becomes physiological.
I just want to point out, if anybody's tuning in late, Vesna has a degree in psychology, and she is a clinical psychologist. So when she's talking about these things, she is coming from a medical standpoint as well as a spiritual standpoint. So she's seeing things from both sides of the coin. Am I correct, Vesna?
Yes, Lexus. Yes.
You actually do in-person and one-on-one coaching or psychology interviews, or however you call them. You have a practice, and yet you still take people on these shamanic journeys. How do you combine the two of them? Are your patients the ones that you take with you? Wouldn't you like to see North America using some of these plant medicines? Would you see it as a help?
Yes. And actually, I was talking with someone just the other day, and the process that the United States, for example, went through for THC cannabis, right? That for, the longest time it was illegal. They were doing a lot of research, and there are so many medicinal qualities in THC. The CB, and I'm going to kind of blank out.
CBD?
Yes, thank you. So the oil is very beneficial, and there are so many things that really truly do help individuals. And I think with like the ayahuasca and the other drugs, back in the 50s, the 60s, they were doing studies also with the psychedelics, and then people, there's always this pendulum, which, one time it's all the way to the left, and then it swings all the way to the right. There's no happy medium.
During the studies too.
And that's what happened with the psychedelics. And then that they banned them, they became illegal.
Well, there was one time when actually they were testing LSD, and they thought LSD was a good drug for women's problems.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah. Okay, so while we're on that thought, I want to go to another commercial because we are so way down the rabbit hole with this, and I really want to get back to it. So grab your phones. We will come back to it with Vesna Matic. Vibe it up, multiple streams of consciousness. Get your phone, get your camera on. We're going to scan for another gift. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back. For the members of the audience that actually run a business and an online business and want to learn how to write a book, that last gift was from me, and it is about how to write your book in such a way that you market yourself. So read what I've written there in scanning that book, and maybe we can work together. But right now we've got Vesna Matic, and what I want to do is really dive a little bit deeper down this rabbit hole. I want to ask you, I know there's a lot of questions that I come to mind here, but I'm of the impression, I don't know quite where I got this, but I'm of the impression that these plants, ayahuasca, and some other plants, I've tried ibogaine. I haven't done the ayahuasca, and I highly recommend it for resetting the nervous system. And some other ones, but they're not from the earth. Where did they come from? And why are they here?
Well, so, this is another reason why I also really incorporate the Peruvian mysticism, shamanism. I love how all of this is described. So what they will say is that these plant medicines, yes, they have come from elsewhere, and they came down on this earth to help us as a human race. Even though we are spirit and now we're in this human form, we forget so many things, and we need help. So that's what these plant medicines are here to do, is to help us on this journey.
Well, we're in a time of great awakening. It's the perfect time right now, right? And the other, you have another one. There's one, is it Wakuma? Am I saying that right? And ayahuasca. Wachuma. Yes. What's the difference between those two?
So Wachuma was and is the actual name. It is a cactus. Okay. And that is the male energy. So when the Spaniards came into Peru, conquered Peru, because the Spaniards, because the Spaniards Catholic, they renamed it to San Pedro, St. Peter.
Oh, I see. And okay, now that's the name we mostly understand in North America.
Correct.
Okay.
The ayahuasca, on the other hand, is a vine. That is the female energy.
Okay. So is it advisable to do both at different times, or what do you recommend?
What I normally do is, that they, a person takes them kind of separately. Many people who have never done plant medicine, I think often go to the San Pedro, the Wachuma. Maybe a little bit easier than the ayahuasca. Okay. But they are both, they're both wonderful plants. So as kind of Jeannie was talking about, what is often said is that the plant needs to invite you. It's a calling.
It's a
Okay.
calling. I
agree.
agree.
When somebody just kind of keeps taking it to keep taking it, they're not going to get the full benefit.
No, I agree with that. Okay, so I just want to interject a little something here. All drugs that the pharmaceutical industry has created originally came from some sort of a plant, some animal, some insects, but majority of them came from plants. So when you call it a plant medicine, isn't it more of a spiritual plant medicine? Because I'm still hung up on this fact that these plants aren't from Earth.
Right.
Like I'm still hung up on that. Do the shamans have any, like, I know you're a shaman too, but do the native shamans have a story for how they came to Earth? And I understand why, but they've been around for a long time. It's just
Correct.
we're now finding them. We're now making them more worldly, well known.
Well,
right?
And I think there can be a danger in this as well.
Exactly.
And so the reason I say that is in Peru, these have been used for centuries.
But this is not a recreational psychedelic drug, right? Just to point this out. This is a psychological aid for mental and emotional healing, right?
Well, and also physical, because the healers, they bring people in, or people come to them with physical ailments. I mean, you're talking diabetes, cancer, Lyme disease. So there are, they actually have physical issues. And there are other people that have psychological issues, depression, anxiety. Okay.
But aren't you correct in understanding that these psychedelic drugs actually can help you get off addictive drugs like heroin and cocaine? Is that not right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, and there are treatment centers in Peru, and I talk specifically of Peru, although Bolivia also has the ayahuasca and what Wachuma, but so I talk specifically about Peru. So people, yes, do come from all over, and in Peru they have been using them for centuries for these various ailments, and they still do. My concern now is that so many people now are either traveling to Peru out of curiosity, and also other companies, whether throughout the world, that a lot of these plant medicines are being cut and harvested, but they're not being replenished. So I think it's very important here again that there is this balance.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. So back to this point about treatment centers in North America. Do we have them or do we not have them?
There are more and more doctors and researchers who are now taking this seriously, and yes, looking at the ayahuasca as well as the San Pedro. And I believe that given a few more years, that down the road we will have treatment centers here in the United States also. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, that's very interesting. And do you ever have, I know this, you're not prepared for this conversation, but would you ever consider going to another country and using shamanic tours for ibogaine? Is that not the similar type of drug, just from a different sacred area?
Yes, from South Africa, and I have also done ibogaine, and it is also another very powerful, very beneficial plant medicine.
Okay, so you've done all three of these?
Yeah.
Can you briefly tell us what your experience was? I know it's personal to you, and I'm not asking for personal details, but what kind of differences would you see from these 3 different types of medicines? I know you're not prepared for these questions. I'm sorry, but I'm curious
that's
about
okay.
it. We're down the
Um,
rabbit hole, Vesna. We might as well go there. Vesna and I have known each other a really long time. We just don't always have these discussions.
I can say for all 3 of them, uh, I have always had a very positive experiences. You know, I
Mhm.
do take the medicines very seriously, and I tell people, excuse my language, but they can kick you in the ass. They know
Yeah.
what your intention is. Okay, so intention is 100,000% important, and whenever I take it, I always approach the plant medicine as I am open to whatever it is that I need to receive.
Mhm.
Um, the last time that I took the ayahuasca, I personally did not really see a lot of things. I did not have visions, but I felt this overwhelming love. I felt as if though the image later that, kind of kept coming to me was like,
Mhm.
in a baby and the mother is cradling you in her lap. That's what it
Mhm.
felt like. And it was just beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, I have had visions in the past with the plant medicine also, but
Mhm.
nothing that I would ever say was, scary. All of my experiences, like I said, have been very, very positive.
Well, I wanna tell you guys about my experience. I only did the ibogaine once. Now I am a freaking goody two shoes. I don't drink. I'm actually sensitive to alcohol. I drank when I was younger, but never to excess. I was always a very lightweight. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't want to do drugs. I'm a freak about control. I want to be in control of my own life, and I see these substances as making you out of control. And I think people are crazy when I see them acting nuts and stupid. It's not me. I'm a very serious person. But my son was concerned about me and he talked me into doing an ibogaine journey, and it took him 2 years to talk me into doing it, but I am so glad I did. I was going through a rough time, and he said, Mom, your adrenal glands are shot. You need to reset your nervous system. Let's do this. I'll be with you. And if I'd known I was going to poop all over the place and vomit or anything like that, I don't know what I did. But if I thought I was going to do it, I'm sure I would have done it with my own son present. But I'm so glad I did. But my experience, this is so crazy. I had beings from somewhere else mumbling this over and over and over and over and over. And I would come in and out of consciousness, and I would tell my son some of the things that were going on. And somehow I understood this language, but I wasn't using my mouth to communicate it. It was so weird. And I would start to tell my son something, and I say, "Oh, wait a second," because they'd start in again telling me something else. And I don't remember what all of it was, but they told me that I was going through, and I would continue to go through a dark night of the soul, and that it was necessary, and that at some point in time I'd be grateful for it, and that I had a bigger purpose, and I was to bring that bigger purpose to the world, that I had something to do with this whole awakening that we're in right now. And it has come to pass. And I did go through an incredible dark night of the soul. I had a son that died in a car accident. My husband passed away after only being married for 7 years, but he was my best friend for 35. I had so many things happen. I had a stalker in my life, and people were wondering what the heck I was doing. I was rich, I was poor, I was rich, I was poor. It was crazy. And now I've evened out, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And you have no idea how grateful I am that I went through that, because, and I've got goosebumps telling you, because it assured me that I would get through this, and I'd be okay, and that I would live to do what I came to this planet to do. And I don't remember a lot of what I was told, and this language was something I can't even comprehend, but I will never forget the colors that I saw. I will never forget what these beings looked like. And I do know that when I was a little girl, I had a bad dream that one of these beings was in my room. And because of what they looked like a vacuum cleaner to me, like an upside down vacuum cleaner with the sucking part of it up at the top, so held upside down. And I called them head suckers, which they weren't head suckers. They weren't bad at all, but I was afraid of them when I was a little girl. And when I had this journey, this ibogaine journey, suddenly I understood what that was all about. And they were just coming to take care of me and be in the background watching over me. And I still feel that they're with me. And I get this feeling that I had in that journey a lot since then. And I don't know if that's at all what your journeys were like, but I would highly recommend, if ayahuasca or matuma is like that, I would definitely recommend any one of these 3 drugs, because my nervous system did get reset. I was able to go on. I'm a person that other people say handles a lot. I've been able to handle a lot in my life. And I think those are the reasons why. So when I asked about your experience, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. And for the ayahuasca, yes, that is one of the plant medicine's primary objectives, is to kind of reset our cells, our makeup, and people do often feel so much better, those that come due to depression, anxiety. And after taking the ayahuasca, either don't experience those things any longer, or it is lessened to a great degree. So it does do so much for us, psychologically, spiritually, physically. Yes. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I want you to hold that thought. I want to talk about how it's administered, but we do have to, go to our commercial break. And I do have another gift for you. If you want to scan it, put your cell phones up, put your cameras on, and scan the QR code. We are Vibe It Up, Multiple Streams of Consciousness with Vesna Matic, and we'll be right back. And we're back with Vibe It Up, Multiple Streams of Consciousness, with our expert today, Vesna Matic, who's both a psychologist and a spiritual shaman who has enjoyed a lifetime of helping others with all kinds of emotional, mental turmoil in their life and physical problems. And one of the ways she does it is with plant medicine and journeys to all these sacred countries. And we were talking about how are these drugs, these plant medicines, how are they administered? Because I know healers have different methods, right? Can you speak to that?
Sure. Well, for both of these, the Wachuma, San Pedro, as well as the ayahuasca, these are cooked. Okay. The Wachuma is strictly Wachuma. Okay, the cactus. Whereas the ayahuasca, they take the ayahuasca and use both as I said before, it's a vine. So they will use the wooded part as well as the leaves. They will also mix it with some other plant medicines together. And then, like I said, these are boiled for a certain amount of time, and you drink them as a tea. Okay, it is thicker than the standard tea, but you do drink them. Yes.
Is it like a secret recipe? Every shaman has their own deal. Is it something that people could bring the recipe home and try, or is it secret?
Well, many times the shaman will, if it's, let's say, an individual,
Mm-hmm.
they will sit down and find out the reason that the person is there, what's going on with them. Okay. And then make, whatever is needed to in there.
Oh, okay.
Even there are some shamans, even if it is a group of people, they may still, turn around and add something or whatever for a person if need be, so that not everybody is drinking exactly the same thing. Okay.
I see.
But and there are a lot of shamans, healers. The word shaman didn't mean anything to Peru up until recently, and that's because of, let's say, the Americans and using the word shaman, so they go to Peru, and so
Oh.
now they are also starting to kind of call themselves shamans, but otherwise they never did before. Okay.
What did they call themselves?
Well, healers, and they're healers.
Do they have a Peruvian name for themselves?
Well, see, you have in the Amazon. In the Amazon is where the healers use the plant medicines. You have the Pacos, which are in a different area. They are up in the mountains in Peru,